Chuck with Polaris Expedition Mods. Today we're going to talk about some basics with basic shock function. What do things do? Um, so I'm not going to go into too many technical details. If you want, you can reach out to me. I'm not a real technical shock expert. I know the basics. Beyond that, I refer to professionals. This is more for the guy or gal that wants to adjust the ride quality of their expedition without spending any money, and adjust the ride height, again, without spending any money or taking it to the shop. This is all stuff you could do in your garage if you're physically able to. So let's break it down. These are shocks off of my expedition. I've since upgraded my shocks. The rears have much larger reservoirs compared to the fronts. And obviously the rears are larger. All the weight is in the back of the expedition, so it makes sense that the rears are going to be larger, including the reservoirs that hold the oil that goes inside of the shock itself. So the two features we're going to talk about today is your ride height and your ride quality. And believe it or not, by adjusting your ride height, it does affect your ride quality. So the first thing we're going to talk about are little clickers here. So far left, number one is the softest setting. Makes it real lazy, but it does reduce the rashness of the road, so it's a softer quality ride. Number two, let's say you're driving a little bit faster or you're doing a little bit more mountainous terrain, especially going downhill. You don't want that nose to drip down when you hit the brake. This is a perfect setting for me without being too stiff. Too stiff isn't good, too soft isn't good. For me, right in the middle is just perfect. When you're flying through the desert and you're just moving, I put the fronts at 3 and then I put the back is at 2. That stiffens the front from slamming down, and it keeps it pretty level going through 2 to 3 foot whoops at around 50 to 55 miles an hour. For me, it was a good setting. So depending on your ride that day, this is how you're going to want to set this up. 1 is soft, 2 is in between hard and soft, so we'll say medium, and then 3 is hard. Again, hard is for when you're really driving fast. I also have used hard in extreme rock crawling situations where I don't want any body roll whatsoever or any bounce going down the boulders. It made my ride stiffer, but it did prevent me from slamming the belly onto the boulders. So you could play with the settings, air pressure, stuff like that. That will help your ride quality. Next, we're going to talk about the spanner nut. I'm sure I'm wrong on this, what they technically call it. I don't know. I'm going to call it a spanner nut. You got to have a tool like this, and as you crank this nut down, down is up, up is down. As this goes down, the expedition goes up. As the nut goes up, expedition goes down. That's simple. Clean it really good, soap and water. Get all the dirt out of there. Use compressed air. You don't want any dirt in the threads when you adjust this. You got to be strong. It's not an easy thing to do. You got to jack it up off the ground, at least until the suspension, all the spring tension is off of the spanner nut. And then you can spin it, sometimes with your hand. Depending on where it is in correlation to the tension of the springs, I've actually been able to, with some gloves, just turn it by hand. Obviously you can't. If you're trying to increase the ride height, it gets tighter as you go down, looser as you go up. So this is how you adjust your ride height. This is how you adjust your ride quality. I hope everybody has a great day. God bless. Go get them.